She spoke 9 languages, and she was the first of her dynasty to learn Egyptian. This wasn't just intelligence, it was strategy. Because Cleopatra VII wasn't just a queen, she was a political operator in a world dominated by Rome. Every alliance she made, every move she played, was designed to keep Egypt alive.
We all know the Hollywood version of Cleopatra, the tragic seductress who lured powerful men to their doom. To understand her actual footprint in history, we have to shatter that fiction. The historical record reveals a figure far more intimidating. She was a brilliant, highly calculated political mastermind. To understand her, we first have to look at her bloodline. Cleopatra wasn't ethnically Egyptian. She was the last ruling monarch of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a line of Macedonian Greeks with traces of Persian ancestry who had ruled Egypt for centuries. This marble bust, sculpted during her lifetime, shows exactly how she presented herself to the world. She isn't wearing traditional pharaonic dress here. Instead, she has her hair pulled back into a Greek-style melon bun, wearing the royal headband of a Hellenistic Greek monarch. While ancient and modern writers obsess over her physical appearance, her contemporaries feared something else entirely. Her actual weapons of power were her strategic intellect and a staggering fluency in at least 9 different languages. When she took the throne at age 18, Egypt was incredibly wealthy. The Nile River Valley produced a massive surplus of grain, making Alexandria the economic crown jewel of the Mediterranean. But militarily, the kingdom was highly vulnerable. She faced an immediate existential crisis at home. Cleopatra was locked in a vicious civil war against her co-ruler, her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. Across the sea, the Roman Republic was rapidly expanding into a superpower. Rome was heavily in debt from its own endless wars, and its generals were aggressively eyeing Egypt's vast treasury to pay their bills. Faced with these threats, Cleopatra made an incredibly rare tactical move. Unlike any of her Greek ancestors over the previous 300 years, she actually learned to speak the native Egyptian language. This allowed her to bypass the Greek elite and build grassroots support directly with the Egyptian populace. With the Roman military closing in and her own brother hunting her, she was backed into a corner. Surviving this crisis would require a geopolitical strategy on a scale the ancient world had rarely seen. This marble portrait of Julius Caesar captures the hard realities of Roman politics. When Cleopatra smuggled herself past her brother's guards to meet him, she was initiating a cold, high-stakes negotiation. The terms were strictly transactional. Caesar commanded a massive army, but was drowning in debt. Cleopatra possessed the wealth of Egypt, but lacked the military muscle to eliminate her brother. They traded exactly what the other needed. The political boundaries of this alliance were rigid. Even after Cleopatra gave birth to Caesarion, Caesar flatly refused to recognize the boy as his legal Roman heir. To Rome, Egypt remained a subservient ally and nothing more. But this fragile political strategy collapsed overnight. When Caesar was assassinated on the Senate floor in 44 BCE, Cleopatra suddenly found herself exposed in a hostile city. She quickly fled Rome and sailed back to Alexandria. Losing her Roman safety net left her vulnerable to generals currently dividing up Caesar's republic. She had to accurately identify the next rising node of Roman power and secure it immediately. That new player was Mark Antony. Look at his portrait bust. He was a seasoned military commander who now controlled the eastern half of the Roman Republic. Cleopatra offered him Egyptian resources to fund his upcoming military campaign against Parthia. In exchange, he provided military protection for her throne. But her ambitions went far beyond simple protection. Remember those 9 languages she spoke? She conversed directly with Ethiopians, Arabians, Syrians, Medes, and Parthians. These languages mapped directly to the old, fractured Hellenistic empires. During the donations of Alexandria, Antony granted Cleopatra suzerainty over these vast eastern territories, stretching from North Africa to India. We can see the physical proof of this united imperial front on this silver tetradrachm. Cleopatra's portrait is stamped on one side, and Mark Antony's is on the other. They were officially issuing currency as a joint political superpower. Cleopatra was actively attempting to reconstruct a massive Hellenistic empire, a superpower capable of rivaling Rome itself. Back in Rome, Caesar's legal heir, Octavian, observed this growing Eastern power. Looking at this heavily armored statue of Octavian, later known as Augustus, you can see the military might of the Roman state he commanded. He realized Cleopatra's new empire was a direct, existential threat to Roman supremacy. Octavian made a calculated political maneuver of his own. Rather than declaring another unpopular civil war against his fellow Roman, Mark Antony, Octavian officially declared war strictly against Cleopatra, framing her as a dangerous foreign enemy. This massive geopolitical clash reached its climax in 31 BCE at the Battle of Actium. On the waters of the Ionian Sea, Cleopatra and Antony's combined naval forces were decisively crushed by Octavian's fleet. Knowing Octavian intended to drag her through the streets of Roman chains, Cleopatra made her final strategic decision. She chose suicide over capture, permanently denying Octavian the ultimate political victory of parading her as a conquered trophy. If the historical record shows a brilliant political operator, why is she remembered today as a tragically flawed, sex-crazed seductress? The answer lies in Octavian's post-war propaganda. To justify the immense cost of the war and the death of Mark Antony, Octavian had to rewrite the narrative. He blamed the entire conflict on a bewitching, manipulative foreign queen who had supposedly corrupted a noble Roman general. A moment of wonder. Native Egyptian sources tell a completely different story. This temple wall carving at Dendera depicts Cleopatra as a legitimate pharaoh and living deity, shown here fulfilling her sacred duties to the gods. The truth is more intimidating than the myth. Cleopatra was a geopolitical genius who weaponized culture, language, and strategic alliances to nearly shift the center of the world from Rome back to Alexandria.
History is never just black and white. So where do you stand? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy stories like this, subscribe for more. New videos every week.